Welcome back to another ukulele tutorial. Today's lesson is on the song Candle in the Wind. I'm going to show you 3 ways to play this song, from easy strumming to intermediate fingerpicking. You'll find the patterns, chords, and lyrics on screen throughout this lesson. You can also download them as a PDF from my Patreon page, and you'll find the link down below in the video description. I want to point out that I'm playing a tenor with a low G. If you have a high G on your instrument, you can follow this entire tutorial. Just keep in mind that the patterns will sound a bit different on your instrument, particularly the fingerpicking pattern, because your 4th string will be 1 octave higher than mine. Now let's start by taking a look at the 5 chords in this song. Our first chord is E. I'm playing this with my index finger on the 2nd fret of the 1st string, and then I'm covering the 4th fret across strings 2, 3, and 4 with my middle finger, ring finger, and pinky. Our next chord is A. I'm playing A with my index finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string and my middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string. The next chord is B. I'm playing B with my index finger across the 2nd fret of the 1st and 2nd strings. Then I'm placing my middle finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string and my ring finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string. Another option for playing your B chord is to bar the 2nd fret across all 4 strings and then place down your middle and ring fingers on strings 3 and 4. You can try it both ways and see which is more comfortable to you. Our next chord is B7. This chord is very similar to our B chord, except it has an open 1st string. So if we're using the 1st chord fingering for our B chord with our index finger across strings 1 and 2 on the 2nd fret, then going from B to B7 is just a matter of lifting up our index finger to free up the 1st string. So starting with our B chord, we lift up our index finger to play B7. Our next chord is C sharp minor. This one is a bit higher up the neck. In the chord diagram for this chord, you'll see that it starts on the 4th fret. So we're barring the 4th fret across all 4 strings with our index finger. You may want to use your middle finger for additional support on this bar. We're also placing down our ring finger on the 6th fret of the 4th string. As we move into our first strumming pattern, I want to point out that all 3 of the patterns we're using for this song consist of 4 beats. If we look at any one of the patterns and how many times we apply the pattern to a particular chord, we'll apply the other patterns the same number of times. Our first pattern consists of easy down strums. Let's take a close look at this pattern and how to apply it to our first verse and chorus. For this first strumming pattern, we're doing a down strum on beats 1 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. For the verses, we'll go back and forth between our E and A chords 4 times. We'll apply any of our patterns twice to each chord. So for example, for the first line of any of the verses, if we apply this first strumming pattern, it will look like this. Keep in mind that our A chord at the end of line 1 carries over to the beginning of line 2. This is also true for the A chord at the end of line 2 and the end of line 3. Now let's add in the lyrics to verse 1. Goodbye, Norma Jean, though I never knew you at all, you had the grace to hold yourself while those around you crawled. They crawled out of the woodwork whispered into your brain. They said you on the treadmill, and they made you change your name. Moving into the chorus, we'll play our pattern once on B, and then our next pattern is split between B and B7. So we'll do one down strum on B over the word lived, and then over the word life we go to B7. So we're lifting up our index finger to open up the first string. To finish this first line, we'll go to our E chord and play our pattern once, and then we'll go to our A chord and play our pattern once. For the remainder of the chorus, we'll apply any of our patterns twice to each chord change until we get through the lyrics. So looking at line 2 of the chorus and sticking with our first strumming pattern, we're going to our E chord and we'll play our pattern twice. And then we're going to our B chord. Moving into line 3, we're going to A. And then we go to C sharp minor. Our C sharp minor has carried over to the first lyrics of the fourth line. And then we go to our B chord. Next we go to A. And our A chord takes us through the end of the lyrics. We do have a chord transition at the end of the chorus before moving into the next verse. So we're going back to our E chord and we'll play our pattern twice on E, and then once on A, and once on B. Now adding in the lyrics to the chorus. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to have known you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before your legend never did. If you're enjoying this lesson, please give this video a like, and thank you so much for subscribing. Now we're moving into our second pattern. This one is also a strumming pattern. We're essentially taking our first pattern and adding in an up strum. Here's what this one sounds like. Let's take a close look at this one and how to apply it to our song. For this second strumming pattern, we're adding in an up strum between our two down strums. The rhythm here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. For the verses, we'll play this pattern twice on E and twice on A 4 times. So for example, the first line will look like this. Now I'll use this pattern to play through verse 2, adding in the lyrics. Loneliness was tough, the toughest role you ever played. Hollywood created a superstar. Pain was the price you paid, even when you died. Oh, the press still hounded you, all the papers had to say was that Marilyn was found in the we've learned 2 strumming patterns, I want to give you an example of how you can alternate going back and forth between these 2 patterns. As an example, here's one way that you could go back and forth between these 2 patterns, playing the first 2 lines of the verses. Looking at the chorus, we'll apply our second pattern the same way we did our first. There's just one exception, and that's the transition from B to B7. So we're starting on our B chord, and we'll play our pattern once. And then for the transition from B to B7, we're going back to pattern 1. So we'll do 1 down strum on B, and then 1 down strum on B7. For the rest of the chorus, we'll apply our second pattern the same way we did our first. Now I'll play through the chorus using the second pattern and adding in the lyrics. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to have known you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before your legend ever did. Now we've come to our third pattern. This one is our finger picking pattern. Here's how this sounds. Let's take a close look at this one, how to play it and how to apply it to our song. Here's our third pattern played nice and slow on an A chord. I'm starting by picking strings 4 down to 1 with my thumb, index finger, middle finger, and then ring finger. Then I'm going back to string 4, 3, and finishing on 2. The rhythm of this pattern is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Bringing this pattern up to the tempo of this song sounds like this. Applying this pattern to the verses, here's how it will sound to alternate between our E and A chords. Now I'll play through verse 3 using this pattern and adding in the lyrics. Goodbye, Norma Jean, though I never knew you at all, you have the grace to hold yourself while those around you crawled. Goodbye, Norma Jean, from the young man in the 22nd row who sees you as something more than sexual, more than just a Marilyn Monroe. Now looking at our final chorus, we'll start by playing this pattern once on B, and then we're going to do something a bit different for our transition between B and B7, since the pattern is split between these 2 chords. So we're going to fingerpick all 4 strings on B, and then all 4 strings on B7. This is our only exception. We'll play through the rest of the chorus, applying this third pattern the same number of times we did patterns 1 and 2. Note that our final chorus has 6 lines. Lines 5 and 6 are a repeat of lines 3 and 4. I want to point out a few differences in the chords at the end of line 4 and the end of line 6. So at the end of line 4, we have an E chord, and we'll play any of our patterns twice on this E chord. So using our third pattern will sound like this. And then we move into line 5, which is a repeat of line 3. At the end of line 6, we're finishing the song with 3 chords. These 3 chords are E, B7, and E, and we'll play any of our patterns once on each chord. So applying our third pattern will sound like this. Now I'll play through the final chorus using our third pattern, adding in the lyrics. And it seems to me you lived your life like a candle in the wind, never knowing who to cling to when the rain set in. And I would have liked to have known you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before your legend never did. And I would have liked to have known you, but I was just a kid. Your candle burned out long before your legend never did. I hope you've enjoyed learning 3 ways to play Candle in the Wind. Have fun practicing, and thank you for watching.